Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Pelican, built tough for all situations. Go to pelican.com. Yak Gadget, for all your fine kayak fishing accessory needs. Go to yakgadget.com. Eastport Marina, on the beautiful shores of Dale Hollow Lake. For all your lodging, kayaking, and fishing needs, go to eastport.info. Now let's get this show started.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Reel Down on Paddle and Fin. Appreciate you listening. I had sinus surgery like a week and a half ago, so if I don't sound 100% right, that's what's going on. But getting better. I'm pretty close. So tonight we have three guys from the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers. They were on Ardmore City Lakes. There was 74 anglers. And yeah, they had a great day. So I'll go ahead and bring them on. We have, start in order here, Josh Barlow, Chris Kobza. Is that right, Kobza? Well, there he is. Chris Kobza, right?
You nailed it. Thank you.
All right. And Brent Wilson. That's easy. Who looks just like my Uncle Mickey and is kind of freaking me out. I wish I had a picture to put it up. If I knew how to do it with StreamYard, I would do it, because you need to look up my Uncle Mickey Nicholson, because y'all are like twins. He might be like 50 years older than you, but yeah. All right. So thanks for being on the show, guys. How y'all doing?
Doing good, thanks.
Good. All right. So I'll go ahead and go over the numbers here, because they were pretty crazy. Josh, you had 98 inches. Like, blew away. Yeah. Chris, you had 91 3/4, and Brent 90 and a half. So yeah, it's a great day for y'all. Still, everybody in the 90s. That's amazing anywhere in the country. We'll start with you, Josh, man. Tell everybody who you are.
I'm Josh Barlin from Oklahoma City, born and raised. Just kind of grew up fishing around here, ponds and stuff like that, and always wanted a bass boat and got into kayaking and found it to be more enjoyable than being a bass boat. So, I've always just kind of had a knack for it, and when I found out, hey, I can fish and make a little bit of money every now and then, I jumped on the OKA. Got my butt whooped a lot in the beginning, but I know for sure Brent has, and I think probably Chris has taken my money a time or two. So it just is how it goes sometimes. But that's where I'm from. What I do. I thought about doing some more national stuff, but mostly it's just been local. That's me.
Well, you're on a roll now. Might have to sign up for the Hobie. I know they have a few more openings. I saw it today.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. I think today AJ posted there was 6 openings, so you can still get in. Yeah. I got in for the wait list. Yeah. From Eufaula, I got in from the wait list there. So yeah, I lucked out.
Okay.
Chris, how about you, man?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on, Dan. I'm Chris Kobza. I'm from Norman. I'm an Oklahoma native, grew up an hour away from here, and like anybody that is watching this or listening to this, I've been obsessed with fishing my whole life. I actually started my tournament days as a co-angler on a couple different Oklahoma City clubs, did a couple of the Bass Opens, and started fishing with OKA. This is my second full season. I'd done a few tournaments before that. I tell you what, there's nothing like kayak angling, and the competitiveness and the amount of creativity and intuitiveness needed to be successful at this sport. I don't know that I'll ever go back to a boat. I think this is just second to none, and I have a freaking blast. I'll tell you, Josh has taken my money a lot more than I've taken his. So it's an honor to be up on the stage with these guys. They're both some sticks.
I'm the same way. Like, people make, why don't you just get a bass boat? I came from a bass boat. I'm not going back. Like, until my legs give out or I just get so fat and I can't do it anymore because I eat too much. Like, one of the two, then I'll just get it tightened again. But yeah, I love it, man. I'm never going back. Brent, how about you? Or Uncle Mickey?
I'll just go with Brent if you don't mind.
Oh, okay.
I don't know Uncle Mickey yet.
All right.
Dan, can you hear me okay? Because my internet's kind of cutting in and out. Okay. I'm Brent Wilson. started the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers back in 2012, and I've just kind of been along for the ride ever since. Got the ball rolling, and there's been a lot of good guys to keep it going after me. Started kayak fishing in college. Just couldn't take my old junker boat to college with me, so I stored a kayak in my kitchen, and my wife got one too. So we both put it in our little apartment in the corner and kayak fish through school. And then when I graduated, there wasn't a tournament trail in Oklahoma, so I helped get that rolling, and I've kind of been involved with that ever since, and just happy to be here fishing with these guys still.
Wow, so we got like the godfather of kayak fishing in Oklahoma, huh?
Exactly.
All right, all right. I didn't know we were who I was talking to. I'm sorry, man. No more Uncle Mickey stuff here. All right, so first, I've never heard of Ardmore City Lakes. What is that? Get somebody want to kind of give me a layout. What's happening with that?
You cut out there. I didn't hear.
Oh, did I? Yeah, just Ardmore City Lakes. If somebody wants to talk about it and how is it a bunch of lakes connected or what is it?
There's not a bunch of lakes. They're not connected. There are 4 lakes in the Ardmore City area. We had 3 of them that were you could fish. It was a Roadrunner style tournament, so you could go and fish 3 of the 4. There's Ardmore City Lake. There is Gene Neustadt Lake, and there was Lake Scott King. And I fished Scott King. Chris, you fished Scott King too, right? And I think Brent definitely did. I know Brent did.
I did.
Yeah.
So that's the best lake then, huh?
It definitely showed out. Now,
Yeah.
one thing that's interesting about this tournament, you know, is a Roadrunner style. You could pick from any one of the 3, and they're all relatively close to each other. 2 of them are only separated by, I think, a mile or 2 miles. They're small. They're really small, and Gene Neustadt's the biggest by far, but Scott King and City Lakes are both. I don't have the stats in front of me. I'll Google it here in a second, but I would guess several hundred acres, so not large at all.
They're in the 250s.
Yeah, and so that was a big, you know, one of the going back to the whole strategy of this game. It's like you've got 3 to pick from. You know, there's going to be a bunch of guys. You know, you don't know until the last night or that morning how many people are going to show up.
Yeah.
But neither one of those lakes can hold 74 boats. And so there's all of this, you know, this, well, what if I show up to the ramp and there's 40 guys there? Then what do I do?
Yeah.
And Scott King, I think a lot of folks knew that it was going to be definitely a contender. And a lot of us showed up, you know, 5 o'clock in the morning, there's already a line. And so that's kind of an interesting dynamic with this style tournament. Is some of our other tournaments, you know, you got a big lake and you'll never see a boat the rest of the day. But these, it was a war zone out there. Yeah.
Cool. We kind of like Coleman. It's a city an hour from here is Coleman Kayak Anglers, and they kind of have the same deal where it's like little city lakes, and those are fun, man. Those little city lakes like that, they can be a lot of fun, and they're fun to like go practice on. Just like good lakes to have in your area, you know, if you happen to live there.
They got the big bass in them.
Yeah, I guess so.
One thing we didn't mention there was the Florida strains. They were in Ardmore City Lake and then Scott King, but there weren't any in Gene Neustadt, and I think that's why when the guys go to those 2 and not Gene Neustadt.
So is it smallmouth too?
I don't think there's smallmouth in those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-mm. There are in different lakes in the area,
Okay.
but it's not a prominent thing for any of those lakes.
Okay. I knew Oklahoma had smallmouth. I just didn't know which ones.
Yeah, and actually one of the better smallmouth fisheries in the state is just down the highway, you know, 15 or 20 minutes. And it's a much larger state body of water, but it was not in limits for this tournament.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, did everybody get to practice? Did you practice a weekend before? Or, yeah, I mean, did you know it was going to be up in the 90s? Is that something you're used to there?
90s is not uncommon here in Oklahoma. Normally, your first place finisher from the spawn through late fall is looking somewhere in the 90 to 95 range. Occasionally, we've gone over 100, and I think a couple of times. But for the most part, if you want to cash a first place check, you're looking probably between 90 and 95 inches. We have some hammers out here in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We do.
Are y'all still pre-spawn, or is it just starting to be spawn now?
Pre-spawn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no bid fishing yet?
No, I know some folks that practiced were looking for them, and especially two of these lakes for sure have some pretty clear water, clear for Oklahoma. And I know several folks were out scouting and trying to look for beds, and it's still too early here. There were some cruisers, some buckmills up shallow, but I think when we got there the morning, the water was in the upper 50s and maybe warm to lower to mid 60s during the day. But up until the week before this, we'd still been down in the 40s. We'd had a couple of cold fronts that have come through and really kept the water temps in check across the state. And so it was, it took a warm day to get above 50 in a lot of lakes around here. So we're just now starting to get into the fun time, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So what were these? What was, since y'all were all in the same lake? Is it grass or rocky or Oklahoma? I'm guessing, like I think rocky, not too much grass,
Brent, what kind of reservoir would you call that?
Oh shoot, man. You're making me think about water again. I haven't worked at water in a while.
Yeah.
That's just it's not highlands, it's not lowlands, it's just a normal reservoir. I can't think of the name of it right now.
There's some rocky bluffs and some flats with some pondweed, and there's coontail or what? No, not coontail. What's the shoreline grass?
Cattails.
Reeds, cattails. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, tules, whatever you want. The reedy things, they're all over.
Yeah, I don't know what their specific name is, but yeah.
We had a longleaf pondweed out on the points that I was fishing, and that was some of the stuff that was growing out a little bit in the shallower water. And then I saw some coontail, and then there was a little bit of skunk grass too. I couldn't remember what the shoreline stuff was.
Lots of algae. Lots of filamentous algae.
Yep. There was indeed.
So Brent, we'll start with you, man. How was your day? How did you catch them? And just tell us all about your day.
Okay. Well, starting off, I took one of my friends with me, Jared Young. He's a former tournament director too for Beavers Bend Kayak Classic, one of our large charity events we used to host. Got him to go with me, and we got a late start out of our hotel that morning. Ended up rolling up to Scott King, and I think I counted 34 kayaks on the water and around the ramp before we took off. So I was a little nervous, and I thought about rolling out to somewhere else. I was like, Ardmore is going to be just as busy, so I stayed there. Got my kayak in, got it on the water. Couldn't get my electronics to fire up. I forgot some stuff on the boat, so I didn't have any electronics for that day. Just started the very first open area that was right next to me there on the bank. Found a patch of rocks and started throwing a chatterbait on it and pulled a 17 1/4 off of there. And just right there by the ramp, everybody was kind of clustered. So I rolled to another cove. I guess it was southwest from there that looked pretty good. And I found some nice looking grass and some rocks offshore, but no fish were there. And I kind of made my way back out to the main lake, and I saw one of the areas I for sure wanted to fish. Main Lake Point was open. So I beeline straight for that thing like as quick as I could. Got there. There was a hump on it, and then a lot of that longleaf pondweed on top of it. So I threw my chatterbait through that. Didn't get any bites. I drifted over it 3 times. Couldn't believe it. So I drifted on the downwind side, and I had one fish slap at it. So I had to figure out about where I was on the lake, reposition myself, and without my electronics, that's a lot of fun. So I had to find a jug and then a patch of grass, and then I looked back at me at the point and kind of angled my kayak where that bite came from, and I threw a crankbait in there, and I caught a 12 1/2. So I was like, all right, there's still fish here. I haven't scared them all off. I was getting a little more comfortable. I took a shaky head and threw it in there, and I found like the top of the rock pile, like the mother lode, just on the first cast right there. And I got a 17 off of there, and my buddy Jared was coming up behind me, so I waved him over. And while I'm waving him over, I throw my shaky head back on top of the rock pile, and I'm talking to him. And then I get a nice tick, set the hook, drag starts going out, and it ends up being a 20 1/2. So I was super pumped for that. It's making all kinds of noises. Oh yeah, come here, baby. Got it in the boat. And then I stayed at that rock pile for the rest of the day. I caught a whole bunch of 16s and 17s. Just as the wind would turn on, the fish would roll back up on that rock pile, and they were pre-spawn. They were waiting to come up on top of that flat. A lot of them had eggs inside of them. I had eggs on my board. My buddy Jared was fishing 10 feet beside me, man, and he just did not have any luck. I don't know if he wasn't holding his mouth right, but he didn't get a single fish right next to me. I felt so bad for him. Sat there, and I should have looked at the scoreboard. I guess Josh put his fish up late, but I was like 90.5. That should put me in the top 5. So I was waiting there, just trying to cull out, hoping for another 18 or 19, and caught a couple more 17s, and that was time. So I go back to the ramp, and of course I run into Barlow as soon as I get there. I'm getting ready to unload the kayak. And he's like, I got 98. I was thinking, oh man, I'm not even going to crack the top 5. Somebody killed him besides me. That was my day. It was fun.
Good day. Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun. Now I don't know if like you feel bad because your buddy is not catching them, but you kind of feel like king of the universe because you're catching them. You know, like you got him figured out, and he can't catch one. That's a weird feeling.
It's a little bit of both. I mean, I'd rather he would have caught something, especially when I get my 5 fish. I don't care anymore. I'm just happy I got 5, and I'm happy I'm at the lake and fishing a tournament, getting to see everybody.
There you go. Chris, how about you, man?
Well, I got there super early because I figured there was going to be a 34 boats at the ramp, and so I think I was 5th in line. I didn't really have a plan though, and I didn't practice. I'd been to the lake several times last year, and it was small enough that I felt like I could just go out there and fish. And so that was kind of my plan, was I'm just going to go out there and fish. Had a couple spots that I really like, and so I figured I'd see what the crowd did and try to find a spot where there wasn't as much pressure. I don't like to be around people, and so I kind of wanted to see where everybody went. And me and a buddy of mine, Nicholas Key, who ended up finishing 4th, we had both kind of had our eyes set on the dam area, and to our surprise, nobody went there. I passed over the point that Brent was fishing on. That was one of the spots I'd planned on fishing. There was another spot south of us that I'd wanted to fish, and nobody was going to the dam. And so we looked at each other and said, you got to be kidding me. And so we went straight there and waited for lines in, and he took the middle of the dam and went one way, and I took the middle of the dam and went the other way, and I started throwing a spinner bait, and I was wanting to cover water. Immediately started getting hits, but I wasn't hooking up with anything. And he threw a crankbait in 50 yards down from me, and he got a pretty good one really early. So we're like, okay, there's fish here. We could hear blow ups. So I start covering water, and I had 3 or 4 fish slap or come unpinned, a short strike or something. And so I went back to where I started, and I started throwing a fluke. And from there on, it was lights out for about an hour. I had my limit probably within 35 minutes. And I think that if I hadn't had to take time to bump my fish and take a picture and check the picture, I could have probably caught 15 or 20 fish. It was every other cast there for a while. I had my limit. I had one pretty good one in my stringer. I think I had a 19 and a quarter. And so I was feeling good, off to a really good start. I just got to focus on culling the rest of the day. And so I start moving off away from the dam, and I found this rock ledge that was next to really deep water, the deepest water in the lake. It's the same general structure as what Brent was on. We had the deep pool of the lake, just in front of us. And then he had his hump, and then there was this rock ledge that kind of led into a flat. And I started fishing that rock ledge, and I could tell that they, that's what they were using to get up and feed on. Yeah. And it was weird. I know it's too early, but I swear to goodness, it was a shad spawn bite for the first hour of the day. And then it just turned off. It was like we were going, I know it wasn't shad spawn, but that's what it was like. We were getting fish left and right. And then there was just this time, and it just stopped. And so I kept trying to recreate it. I fished the same stuff the same way, different stuff in the same way, and did that for about an hour without bites. And so I just pulled out the jig and started started going to work and was able to call up a couple key fish, just kind of fishing that ledge area. And I ended up going around and fishing the other spots that I had liked, that I fished in the past. And I caught a few fish here and there, but they were all, the 13, 14 inch range. And so I think I got my last call at probably 11 o'clock in the morning. And it was really a pretty slow day for me after that.
Okay. I did have another question. Y'all's entry fee is $57. That's the most specific entry fee I've ever seen. Is that just PayPal fees, like to make it a round number or something?
I think so.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Turn X. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I never seen one's 57 before. I had to ask about that.
Well, it also includes big bass too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Josh, how about you, man?
Man, I'm like opposite of Chris. My morning did not start out great at all. I missed a couple of fish first thing in the morning. I had a chance to practice the day before, but I didn't make it out until like almost 11 o'clock. So I missed completely the entire morning bite. When I got there for practice, I caught a fish on a point, a 19-incher that I just couldn't shake off. Like she set the hook on herself kind of thing. And it just happens. But I should have, probably clipped a hook off or what have you. But, I was already late. I wasn't trying to, do anything more specific or waste any more time. So got a 19 in practice right off a point. And then pretty much nothing on the points. Like I went and ran points and it's like, nothing's here. So I moved out. They've got a lot of flats out there with dead pondweed on them right now, just like clumps of dead pondweed. And I started running flats, and I did a little bit of power fishing at first, running the jackhammer, the chatterbait, bladed jigs, etc. And ran a swim jig, nothing biting power fishing at all. So I went and started throwing some plastics around in the grass, and that was when I found them. And so I kind of had that. I got like 3 or 4, or shook off 3 or 4 in that time. And so I went and started looking for other patterns and kind of found them on some bigger. I accidentally caught a one in practice that was almost 20. And it was just on the edge of the grass flat, right at the first drop. The day of practice, it was warm and the wind was out of the south and things were nice. And that night we had a cold front and rain that came through. And so going into it the next morning, I had a little bit of history, but I tried to go in with an open mind. Just like, hey, you got to fish the moment. Things have changed. The day before, I couldn't have thrown top water, but I got enough rain that it was just like 4 or 5 inches above the pondweed where I was at. And I was like, man, looks pretty juicy. So I started my morning on a point, doing just that, throwing a little bit of top water. I didn't catch anything. I mean, it was a flat that kind of surrounded a point where I was at. I missed a fish around that flat drop off. And there were people around me everywhere. That's how it was. For a lake that small, we had at least 20 anglers on the water before we even launched. And there were still people backing boats in when we launched. So, it was a boat show for sure. People were around us every day or all day. And I went to that point and didn't catch anything. Kind of was like, all right, this is where I got the most bites in practice, and I didn't find them here. So I just carried on and started kind of fishing down the bank, on and off the ledge and onto the flat, just kind of searching for them. I'm not a big sonar user. I know that's an unpopular statement, especially in this climate. I run 2D right now and waypoints. I have side imaging and I rarely use it. And honestly, like I do more fishing than I do screen watching or anything like that. Like I'm a caster.
There's plenty of people like Jordan Marshall, Hobie Angler of the Year, doesn't really use electronics. Brent didn't have any electronics. He did good too. So.
He did great. I found a couple of fish early morning about 9. It's not not crazy early, on a point, windy point. And later in the day, I'd heard people saying, "Oh, I saw shad spawning on the wind-blown rocky points out by the dam." And I'm thinking, well,
What Chris
okay.
said.
Yeah. So I figured maybe that's what was going on, but at that point in time, I wasn't willing to bet everything on it. But I did run a couple other points after that, and it must have been when they had shut off, or either that or everybody caught them or worn them out and they hadn't reloaded, because I mean, everywhere I fished except for the very first place I started, somebody had already been through. Like, that's just how it was. And I eventually made my way back, kind of fished some stuff I had in practice that played out, and nothing was playing out. So I went back to where I started and actually kind of waited in line to get onto this point. And I got on it and I put my power pole down and I just started making casts, and I had 3 boats around me within 100 yards all day from that point. I think people were waiting to get on this community ledge flat point area. Like, it's just right outside of a spawning cove. They were stacking up and reloading, and I sat on that spot for like 2 hours probably, and I finished my limit there. I pulled up, I caught one about noon, and then I caught 2 more right before 1. And after I got my limit, I was sitting low 80s. I was like, I had like a 14 and a 16, I think, that I needed to upgrade at that point. And so I backed off. I pulled the power pole up reluctantly and kind of followed the ledge that was at the edge, kind of out. It runs out offshore into the middle of the lake. I just followed my 2D and watched where it changed, and kind of looked at my maps and was looking at the ledge and followed the ledge and just fished it. Ended up catching a 19 and an 18 on that ledge. And then about 2 o'clock, I got my 21 and a half, and that was big bass. And at that point, that put me up like 95, I think. And then right like 8 minutes before it was over, I caught another 19-inch fish. And so I pretty much sealed it at that point. I'm not a guy who spends time really looking at Tourney X while I'm fishing. I put that away. I take my phone out to take pictures of my fish, and when it's done, it goes back in. You know, anybody who's on the water, they know I turn the do not disturb on. Like, you're not going to reach me. Good luck. Like,
I need to do that because my wife blows me up and I freaking hate it.
Yep. I can't be thinking about work or have anybody call me. So, you know, it goes on do not disturb, and it comes out. It's a camera at that point, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much how my day went.
How do you catch them out deep?
I got them on plastics. I got them on a Texas rig, pretty much the whole day.
Okay.
It's one of my confident baits, and that's what I went with.
Certain bait you want to give up?
Yeah, it's a rage crawl. I mean, there's no secret around, especially around our club. You know, they know that's something I like to throw.
It's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, it works around here.
That's a great bait.
Yeah.
All right. Well, dang, man, 98 inches. That's on a city lake. I mean, that's no matter where you're at. That's pretty ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of concern from us, you know, just the size of that lake and the number of good anglers that we were expecting, how many people were going to be able to get a limit. I've been on the lake a half dozen times, and I've caught some great fish there, several over 21. But I think I've maybe caught a limit one time. And so that was my number one concern, was how the heck am I going to catch 5 when there's 30 other guys out here trying to catch 5? But I don't know if it's that lake or if it was just when we hit it, but I don't know what the actual stats are, but napkin math is something like 90% of the top 10 were there, 80% of the top 10 were there, and there were a lot of limits caught out of that lake. So there was a lot of fish caught on that 250 acres last weekend. It was really pretty. It was something to see for sure.
Wow. Y'all go there again, everybody be on that lake. You'll have to go to a different one.
They'll have to open Mountain back up.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
the Ardmore City Lake that was illegal to be on because it's too good.
Really?
And
Well,
it does have
only
some.
It has a cap.
Yeah, they'll only allow 15 boats, and so
How do you choose? Yeah.
right.
Josh has taken my money at that lake.
hmm That's one that I do well at.
Okay. So, what do y'all have going on the rest of the season with Oklahoma Kayak Anglers?
We have Colic coming up next.
It's a lake in north central Oklahoma, and one that a lot of us have never been at. It's an interesting pick, which is great. I love, and that's another thing, the big boat tournaments. There's a half dozen lakes in the state that they all go to over and over again, and you're just competing for weekends. But you get on a little 13-inch piece or 13-foot piece of plastic, and you can go dang near anywhere. And so we get to see a lot of water that, being a lifelong Okie, I haven't seen, and so that's a really neat thing. Cause is a little bit bigger of a lake, but I never known it as being a bass fishing one, so I'm really interested to see how this goes.
It's mainly for blue catfish is what it's known for, and it's also got good crappie in it too. I expect it's going to surprise a few people. I've heard good stuff about its bass fishing. I've just never bass fished. It's always been blue cats and crappie. I'd never been to Scott King before, so that was my first time there. I hope you guys do good at call.
You gonna be
Are
there?
you not going to come?
I'll be there.
Oh, great!
It's right next to me. It's only an hour away.
Have the Godfather in our presence.
That's right.
I don't have to
You're
drive
good
4
luck
hours.
for us.
Yeah. Well, wherever he's at, it's going to be good. Well, 74 anglers. I mean, y'all obviously have a great club. I know we've had Oklahoma Kayak Anglers on here before with a different tournament, but yeah. Brent, you've done a great job with the club, sir, because 74.
I just got the ball rolling. Other guys have picked it up for me and done a good job with it.
Well, we've cracked 100 a couple times. I think our season opener 3 weeks ago, we had, was it mid-80s? I think 83. And our season opener last year, I think we had 106.
Wow.
People. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking inches. So.
No, boats.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great club. And the competition, like I said earlier, it's unlike anything I've ever competed in. And there's some great anglers in Oklahoma. I think you kind of got to be, but our club has got them in it. That's for sure.
It seems like even all the clubs cross country, like the level of competition just in kayak fishing in general is going up every year. People talk about growing the sport, but a lot of that is not only new anglers, but people coming from the boat side. And, a lot of them people know how to fish. So if we grow the sport too much, we're bringing in a lot of hammers too. So that's tough, But competition's good. So there we go.
We got a lot of good old boys that haven't been able to boat fish either that are excellent fishermen. They can just afford the kayaks.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Brent, before we let you go, we like to give everybody a chance to shout out anybody that makes fishing easier for you. We'll start with you, Brent.
I got to start with Tulsa Kayak, Oklahoma Kayak, Dave Lindo down there. I mean, they've kept Oklahoma Kayak Anglers running since the beginning. It's been a great sponsor for us. Then I got to thank my wife after that for letting me go fish all these and putting up with me, putting all the time into it. Thank you for having us on, Dan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Smart man. Thanking the wife. I almost went to university. Because I have a degree in oil and gas. I almost they had some MBA at University of Tulsa with a energy deal. And where like golden tornadoes or golden hurricanes or something like that.
Hurricanes, yes.
Yeah, how'd they get? I still don't know how they got hurricanes, but all right, I know. I'm sure it's some story. All right, Chris, how about you, man?
Yeah, I also have to thank Oklahoma City and Tulsa Kayak, big supporters of the club. They've gotten me out of at least a pinch or two in just the past couple of years. So big fans of that shop. My 3 girls, I got 2 little girls and my wife, and they put up with me and they listen to my fish stories and even look at my pictures at the end of the day. So couldn't do it without their encouragement and their support. Then I want to shout out to the OU Fishing Club. I'm the staff advisor for the student fishing club at the University of Oklahoma.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great group of kids. We've got a lot of new talent coming in. Y'all can find them on Facebook. Just look for Oklahoma OU Fishing Club or OU Fishing, and they especially there we go.
There it is.
Hey,
Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, man. I fished at Montevallo. I love some kayak fishing. Yeah, I mean, well, in the boats, I love college fishing. Josh, how about you, man?
I got to thank all my guys up the board at the OKA. There's a bunch of good guys up there who work really hard. Luke Arian, Mike Galbraith, Rusty Helms, Josh Massey. All those guys are great guys. I'm sure I'm missing everybody else. You all know who you are. They do great work. They put this on every year, and I've been on the board. Brent, he's been the president. He could attest. It's not easy. It is work. It's phone calls and texts, and we got to go pick up a trophy, or so and so forgot the banner, or it's something. It's always something, and those guys do great work. I'm glad that they put it on. I'm excited for everything that they've got going. I want to thank Woo Tungsten. They give me a good discount on my tungsten, and I'm a loyal customer of theirs. So even before that, those are the people that make my life a little bit easier when fishing.
There you go. And shout out to all the TDs and board members, committee members that make all the trails happen. I know from experience, it's a lot of, it takes a lot of time. Like
Yes.
it's a time suck to do it and not get paid. So,
And they could still come out and put a whooping on you too.
that's right. All right. Well, we appreciate you, and hopefully we'll have you on again for too long. Good luck the rest of the season. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
There we go, Oklahoma guys. So we'll talk about some tournaments here. First, we had the Paddle and Fin Open. That was in conjunction with the Cumberland Kayak Trail and Central Tennessee Kayak Anglers. They were on Dale Hollow, 43 anglers, and they do this every year. I know we talked about it a lot on the different Paddle and Fin shows, but if you ever get the opportunity, go to Eastport Marina. Come hang out at Dale Hollow. It's a great time, great lake. We always go the right time of the year during the spawn. But it had 43 anglers. First place was Jared Johnson. He had 82 1/4. Greg Kumpfner, I think, with 70 1/4, and Robert Knoll in third with 69 inches. Georgia Bass Nation Kayak Anglers and South Carolina Bass Federation Kayak Anglers they were on Lake Hardwell, 88 anglers. Joseph Gayton, first place with 100.5 inches, sacked him up. Tom Kurzminski with 90 inches, and Saturday Mill in third with 89 inches. And then there was also the Georgia Kayak Fishing League. They were also on Hartwell at the same time, so I'm guessing a joint deal. When he was in with 90 inches, Charles Shellnut in second with 86.5, and Joel Blair in third with 84 1/4. Mountain State Kayak Anglers, they were on Tigard River, 42 anglers. Travis Harper in first with 51 3/4, and this was 3 fish. Lance Griffith in second with 47.5, and Mike Holcomb with 46 inches came in third. Clarksville Area Kayak Fishing Group on Kentucky Lake, Richard Bartzek with 85 3/4. Kirk Paraguay, I hope that's right. Sorry, Kirk. 78 1/4, and Chuck Ledbetter in third with 73.5. There was a Native Watercraft No Limit Big Bass Power Hour on Lake Berryessa. I didn't get the numbers for the actual big fish, but overall it was a no limit where you can catch all you could. First place was Diego Kobayashi with 318.5. Good God. YouTube celebrity and Craig Blanchard with 308, and Michael Lavore with 289 1/4. And last but not least, Cincinnati Kayak Fishing on Brookville Lake, 5 fish limit. It was super tough because, I mean, they did not catch many fish, and I think only 3 people had at least 3 fish. First place was Sean Skidmore with 56.5, Ron Brumbeck with 42 inches, and third place Jim Brown, 5 fish limit, 38 3/4. So yeah, for some reason it's brutal out there, but yeah, we appreciate it. And also shout out I didn't get the numbers, but because it's on Fishing Chaos, but the KBF was on Caddo. The Pro Series was Josh Stewart. He won that. And day 1, day 2 was Cody Milton. We had just had Cody on last week, so decided to go with Oklahoma Kayak Anglers. But congrats to those guys. Great tournament. Caddo, it was on fire. A lot of people really, really caught them. So that was kind of have and have nots, but the people that did catch them really, really got on them good. So yeah, good tournament. Thanks again to the guys from Oklahoma Kayak Anglers being on, and we'll see you all again next week. Appreciate you listening, and make sure to always wear your PFDs out there. You know, it's still cold and easy to get hypothermia. See y'all again next week. Later.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode here on Paddle and Fin. Be sure to drop a 5-star rating, a thumbs up, or smash that subscribe button on any platform you're listening in on. Be sure to check us out on Waypoint TV, waypointtv.com. Make sure you sign up for the Fantasy Kayak Fishing League at paddleandfin.com/fantasy. You could support this show through Patreon, patreon.com/paddleandfin. Don't forget to check out the website, paddleandfin.com. Catch us on YouTube. If you got a question, comment, or want to see a future guest on the show, be sure to email us at paddleandfin@gmail.com. Shout out to our show supporters, Yak Gadget. You can check out all the fine kayak accessories at yakgadget.com. Pelican Professional. For all your cases, coolers, and lighting needs, go to pelican.com. Rocktown Adventures, your Midwest premier paddle sports destination. Go to rocktownadventures.com. Eastport Marina, the beautiful destination on Dale Hollow Lake. If you're looking for lodging, kayaks, kayak accessories, or anything fishing related on the beautiful Dale Hollow Lake, go to eastport.info. And Jigmasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com and fill your tackle boxes today.